Hey, everyone. Welcome along to the Infinite Me. Yes, we are back having another juicy chat about living infinitely and playing infinitely and how to incorporate more infiniteness into your life. So I'm Nat. Over there is Mandy, my sister.
Hello.
We're on opposite sides of the world right now, and Mandy's in Australia and I'm in Belgium. And yeah, it's a nice sunny day here and it's night for you.
Yes.
So yesterday we had a chat about, well, it was wrapping up the series that we had been talking about for 3 days, which was what stops you from living more infinitely. What comes up for you, what fears come up, what worries about other people and what they're thinking, and whether your work might be accepted out into the world, whether the world's ready for you. All those sorts of things can come up. So yesterday particularly was about putting your gifts and your passions out to the world. So why don't you play 100%? Why do we sometimes hold ourselves back and sort of, yeah, I guess not actually really fully step into our beingness and our passion and our purpose, if you want, for want of a better term that often gets used in the consciousness world, purpose. And why don't we do that 100%? What stops us from doing that? So we had a long chat. It was about an hour or so talking all about that.
Yes.
Lots of concepts thrown around and lots of ideas. So if that is something that you feel like you're not playing at 100%, and we're talking 100%, like even if you're playing at 95%, and there's still a little part of you that's not, is holding back in some way, then there's still stuff to be looked at. So we addressed all sorts of things yesterday. So some of that might resonate for you. If you want to go back and have a listen or a watch to that. It's 11:11 here. Woo! So today we're going back to the Infinite Lucky Dip, which is what we do. Mandy is the official holder of the Infinite Lucky Dip. There it is. There is the gem itself. The treasure trove of topics that get thrown in there, and we pull one out. So this totally is in the flow. We've got no idea what we're going to be speaking about, and we just channel whatever comes through. So here we go.
It's a pink one.
Power of fluoro pink.
Interesting one. It kind of goes with our topics that we did yesterday. Once you say yes, you have to own and embody that yes. Ooh. So as in yes to a decision, or when you make a decision for yourself, you then have to own and actually embody the yes that you've said to that decision. So yes. So that quote or statement, if you like, came from Derek Rydell, who was an actor, is now a transformation teacher. And he teaches a lot to do with abundance and following your life purpose and really stepping into he really sort of mentors thought leaders, actually, if you like. So that's kind of where his focus is right now. And so he was talking about that concept of it's easy in some ways to say yes to a feeling that comes through you, but then it's almost like you have to catch up to the decision that you've made. So like if you haven't created enough energetic space for it to come through in your life, then that's when it can sometimes look like you're sabotaging yourself, or you haven't kind of, it almost can look like you haven't fully said yes to it in some ways, because you haven't it's asking you to be a different way, if you like. So it's kind of like you have to catch up to that new way of being, that the yes, that the next level of expansion, if you like, that it's asking you to step into, that's going to require some growth. Like you're probably going to have to step out of your comfort zone a little bit, or you'll start to increase your sphere of influence a bit and all those type of things. So it is about that. What is that yes calling you to, and what is that asking you to do to step into that yes, so that you can actually fully embody that decision that you feel like you've made, like that it's calling you to make. So if that makes sense. It sort of took a little bit to get to that point.
We've got it now. You know what we mean. I'm feeling like I want to address the yes first. The concept of yes. What is that? Where does it come from? Who are you saying yes to? Who's saying yes? Maybe that's the starting point. I'm just feeling like I want to address that first up.
Yep.
Sort of interesting when you say the yes, like I did it to myself last night. So I got confronted about some stuff that had a whole bunch of beliefs in there, some old stories. I found it really confronting. And it was around money. And there was a feeling that rose up inside me that just, and as much as I was like scared, that's what it felt like, because it felt like you're just saying, there's got to be a change at that point. You're getting a change, and possibly a big change at that point. So it means leaving old patterns and beliefs behind, your old self and who you feel like you are and who other people might think you are and what you think they think of you, all those things. And it's sort of saying yes to that change, to that quantum leap.
Yeah, true.
In scientific terms. And it does feel a little bit scary, but there's a part of you, like I can just sort of imagine that feeling now coming up. And, you know, I've done this exercise many, many times before. It's this feeling is there, and it's just like, yes, like I have to say yes to this right now. Just a knowing, a feeling. You can't not say yes to it anymore. Like maybe you've pushed it down too many times and it's just been sitting under the surface there a little bit. You've sort of been half aware of it. It's sort of just been hovering there. And then it's like it suddenly wants to push through and come out now. It's time. And
true.
There is that feeling, even a physical wanting to say yes. And that's why I said last night, like I said it just to myself. But it felt like it needed that voice even to come out. And when I sort of contemplate about what is that, like what part of me is saying yes, it still feels quite infinite, funnily enough. Like it doesn't feel like the ego, feel like human self is saying that. Maybe there's a little bit of the human self that's sort of not sure how it's going to go if I say yes, but I still feel like I want to say yes. I'm sick of where I'm at right now, and so I want to say yes because I would love it to shift. So there is a little bit of that. And who am I saying yes to? Like, I guess I'm saying yes to myself. That's what it felt like at that stage. It doesn't feel like there's any separation. I'm not saying yes to God or to the universe or the infinite at that stage. Like it's just a really solid, line in the sand. Let's get on with it now. Like, this does need to shift.
It's like you've got a new level of, you're being called to a new level of awareness by your infinite part of you. Like that's what it feels like, an expansion. Like if you can feel that expansion, and it's like it feels like an invitation to join that expanded state now, to move into that next level of awareness. Like, so it's like you've not completed a level. It's not really that. It's kind of like a
Super Mario Brothers.
But it could be a bit like that. I suppose we can make it like a game. But no, but it's like you've I don't even want to say learnt a lesson, because I don't feel like it's about learning lessons either. But it's like from an infinite perspective, I guess, if we are here to remember who we truly are and sort of take our power back out of those limitations that we've set up for ourselves, so that we get to experience ourselves more and more and come back to that expanded state. We're always that expanded state. We're never not that. We're just uncovering maybe where we've forgotten that part of ourselves. So it feels like a bit like that. You've reached a new point of awareness now, like where you've got everything you needed to get out of those scenarios that were playing out in your life, and now you're being called to remember a new part of yourself, which you have to, on the human level, I guess, expand into, because it's not where we're playing at. Like we're being called up to a different energy level or a different vibration or different set of beliefs, as you said. Like we're always going to have a belief of something, like that we eventually kind of dissolve on some level, but it probably creates a new story, if you like, that we're just going to be stepping into now. And so there's going to be new things that come into play because of that story now. Like you're going to have new experiences and new people and a new level of comfort that you break through, and your limitations that will come up. And so it feels a bit like that feeling like a leaning into the expansion now. And so it feels like if we were going to put some language around it, like it feels like that. Like like a definite I think we all know the difference between like a yes and a no. Like yes feels very expansive when if we're saying it from a true state, because sometimes we say yes when we don't actually mean yes.
You don't really want to do something to someone.
Yeah. So, but when we're coming from that true space, when it is like an infinite yes, it is like an expansive state, whereas a definite no is a very no, I wouldn't say contractive actually, because no can feel expansive too, actually, now that I'm saying that. Yeah. So so maybe no from a perspective of you're very clear that it's not a step for you to take, whereas a yes is, yep, I'm being invited into this next step forward, and it feels expansive. Yeah.
Yeah, it does have that expansion to it, doesn't it? And it almost feels like the decision had already been made. Like what you're saying there is that you're moving into that space that's already been decided on, and that expanded awareness or expanded consciousness is already there.
Yes.
You're now expanding your awareness around that expanded consciousness.
Yeah.
And catching up with it, like we were saying.
Yes.
But the decision has actually already been made. And it feels like that. It feels almost safe to say yes in that case, because it feels like something's catching you underneath. Like it's like it's here, like it's okay. You're going to be taken care of in this space of saying yes right now. And that's what it felt like. It's like, oh shit, part of me went, oh God, I don't know what happens now.
Yeah.
Then I sort of just settled into that, and I was just like, no, it's okay. Like there's a plan. So I don't know what it is, but there's a plan. It'll be fine. And it's safe to let that old programming and those old beliefs or old stories or whatever's come up to let them go now. And I guess the ego is always wanting to feel safe. That's what its job seems to be, sort of thing, to try and keep us safe, which is why it doesn't allow us to step into more expanded places, because then it's the unknown.
Yes.
It doesn't know where anything's going to go. And you have that feeling of being very unsettled and maybe confused, maybe frustrated, maybe a bit resentful, because it is that very unknown state, and that really is those old emotions starting to come up of, oh my God, my comfort zone, my rug is just about to be pulled from under me now, and I don't know what's next. So it is an unsettling period. Like when I went to bed, I felt really sick in the stomach, like I wanted to vomit. I was like, oh, do I want to get up and throw up? I was like, no, it's okay. But I was like, wow, these are really some very deep beliefs coming up now, like some very old programs. If I'm feeling that sick in the stomach, like there's some really pretty full-on stuff going on here. So like the physical form does need to catch up to these things, and it can make you feel very unsettled, a bit out of whack, not being able to string a sentence to, like, that's how it plays out for me sometimes. It's like I can't sort of feel like I can't string a sentence together properly, because I just feel so out of whack of reality right now. Like the energy is so weird. And it's almost like you're not quite here. You're sort of somewhere hovering above reality. So yeah, it can definitely be unsettling. But
I think that owning that, what it's saying in the quote about you have to own the yes, because I think, like what you're saying, it's sort of, it can be easy to say the yes. Like it could, I mean, it might still be scary. It doesn't mean necessarily, when I say easy, that you're just going, oh yeah, I'll do that thing. It's like, but it feels so true that it's easy to say yes to it, because it just feels like the truth for you to do. But then the owning of that yes is, it's almost like you get every limitation that you've had in the way of that new awareness, now that you're being called into that expanded state. It's going to come up now for you to actually say yes to it. It's almost like you get tested a little bit to see, is this really, are you truly saying yes, like you do actually want this next level? And I was like, I don't feel like it's, the universe does test us like that, but it is almost, it feels a bit like that sometimes, like, well, I just said yes to this, and why is this thing happening now? Like it can be easy to kind of say that sometimes, but it's almost like you get asked over and over and over, like, are you sure? Yes, you're and you're like, yep, no, I am committed to the yes that I said. And it feels like sometimes maybe that's where the ego can come in a little bit, where it's like we start to question sometimes if we want to step into that new space, because all the stuff comes up, like you said, like you get to see all the old beliefs and the old distractions and the drama that can come up sometimes to try and skew your attention and all that stuff sometimes comes up because we've still got power in all those things. So if we want to awaken to that newer level of awareness and expansion, then that stuff has to go, like, because it's clouding our vision, like, at the end of the day. So it does feel there sometimes like we have to say yes over and over again on some level to keep moving through that stuff that comes up, because it is just going to come up. It's just there to see and release. It's not there for us to engage in it or to make it a reason to not keep going ahead, or unless there's a clear feeling that, no, I don't want to go down this path anymore, then of course you follow your intuition. But I guess everything we speak about here is just paying 100% attention to, you know, how you're feeling about everything, so that you are aware when it's your ego talking and when it's the infinite part of you talking. So it can be very easy for the ego to convince us, you know, that it's not the right path to go down because X, Y, Z's happening now, sort of thing. Whereas if we keep tapping into that infinite part of ourselves and keep revisiting that yes, if you like, to go, no, it's still a yes, like, it's still, even though that's happening over there, I'm still a yes. I'm still being called into that expansion, and I'm just catching up. I'm just catching up on the physical level to this new way of being now, so that my body gets used to that energy now, holding a new level of energy, if you like. So
yeah.
I've
never been a big fan of the testing concept. Like,
no, it's not the right word. Yeah, not the right wording for it.
Lessons to be learned and things like that. Like, that feel true for me. Like, it might feel true for other people. But it doesn't really feel true for me. I don't feel that, because I feel that that's almost inviting in separation. It's like, who would be testing you? Like, why would an infant being test itself or give itself lessons, sort of thing, like as if there was something to learn? I feel that there's stuff to be explored and discovered, definitely, but I think that's very different to learning a lesson as such.
Yeah, it's not the right word for it, or I didn't mean it in that context that it often gets used in the spiritual community. Like, some people do feel that way, that we are here to be tested and all that thing. But yeah, it is like what you're saying. It's like that awareness. It's a new thing to come up, to be aware of, another reflection to see.
That's what I feel it is.
Of something. That's all it is.
Like, when you say all your stuff comes up, it's like, it does, because it has to be released.
Yes.
So, because you can't hang on to any of those old beliefs and then still be at that next level, quantum level of consciousness and awareness. So, of course, it has to come up and leave, because that was holding you in the lower one. So, yeah, I feel it's just that. Like, it's just stuff coming up. And you sort of go, oh yeah, I see that story, or I feel that feeling now, or whatever, and it's just like, oh, okay, that's it.
It's that feeling, it stirs within you to be released. It's not sometimes got anything to do with that outside circumstance. It's just more how you're feeling inside. That's what the infinite is looking for, to explore that feeling and to release that feeling, so that it's not a limitation for you anymore. You get to experience yourself at a different level. Those
patterns and beliefs and programmings have been limitations of some description. So if you're moving to the next level of infiniteness, then you can't have those limitations anymore. Like, it's not going to work. So they do have to come up and be looked at, and just go, okay, like, I can see I was limiting myself with that thought pattern. And all you need to say is like, oh, I can see how limiting that was. Okay. I've seen that now. Cool. And then bang, it's gone, and it's not in your awareness anymore. That you don't even have it come up in your life anymore. Suddenly your whole reality changes. It's not a thing anymore. And we will have all experienced that at some stage, where, you know, a breakup or a financial issue or a business thing happened, or so many different things have happened, and it's like the biggest thing on the planet at that stage. Is like, oh my God, like, this is like the most disastrous thing ever. Then years later, it's like, oh, that's right.
Back on it.
I remember that now. I remember that guy I used to go out with, or like, oh, I remember that business we did. It's like this vagueness. And it's like, it's not just time that heals type thing. At the end of the day, there is no time. It is just that whole construct has just disappeared from your awareness. So you actually almost can't have a recollection of it. You might have a very vague recollection of some events that might have taken place, but there's literally no emotion around it. There's nothing around it anymore, because there's just nothing held in that. Like when it's been truly balanced and released properly, I mean, there's nothing around it anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But as far as the embodiment and all that sort of stuff, yeah, I guess that does just take time. In the human game, we do have a concept of time. So it appears as if it takes time to embody that, and whatever that means, which, you know, say last night meant a physical embodiment type thing of releasing old stuff.
Yes.
You know, almost wanting to do that purge again, and you know, being able to feel like, I don't know if I'm the only person that can feel this, but it's almost like I can feel like my brain rewiring, like the neurons in the brain rewiring, like I've tuned into that so much over the years that I can feel like electrical signals or something and going on in my actual head.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's really bizarre. Like, you can actually feel when a belief sits on the left-hand side in my left, the left brain.
Yeah.
And when the expansiveness of the right brain and all that stuff, like I actually feel all that stuff. It's very bizarre. So I know that that's when things are shifting and stuff, because that's my trigger. Like I can feel stuff, you know, like it might feel like a bit of a pressure or in it, like a weird energy, a constricted energy sort of thing in the left brain, and then I feel it release. I was like, oh, okay, that's gone now. Like that, the belief pattern's actually gone. I can feel that's changed now and shifted. I feel really different about that. So yeah, I guess it plays out differently for everybody. That's my stuff.
But I guess like on the physical level of the body, that's actually what is happening. But isn't it like the brain is being rewired? The neural pathway that existed for you to have that belief is now shifting to a new, you know, you've had an awareness that there's a new way of thinking about something now, and so the brain actually has to shift that pathway. So that is literally, I guess, what is happening. It is firing differently now in your brain. So
having dived into beliefs so much, like we had a whole business around beliefs at one stage, and knowing all that stuff and having done theta healing and that, maybe I've just convinced myself over the years that I can actually feel the neurons actually changing and the synapses changing and stuff. But it certainly feels like I can feel it, and like the little tingling sensations and bits and pieces, and it's sort of quite interesting. To experience.
I don't think I'm sure different people experience it all different. Like I know I always feel like I get a lot of tension across my neck and my shoulders when a lot of stuff is shifting around, and it's it's just like your body's, maybe that's just where I hold a lot of stuff, and so it feels like it gets really tense, and then there's like a build up, and then it releases, and then it's all relaxed again. So it's kind of like the it does feel like just a shift in the energy. I just think I had an energy read with a lady last year sometime, and she was talking about the I'm probably going to say it wrong. It sits right at the top of your spine, and so at the base of your skull. I think it's called the amygdala. I could be wrong. She was talking about this point in terms of from an energy perspective, from an energy intuitive perspective, they call it the well of dreams. And she said it's like the point that your new awarenesses kind of come into your system, sort of. So so she was saying things like it's really important to stay in your whatever your yes is in life. So whatever sort of really lights you up and inspires you. So your creativity, and whatever that creativity looks like. So that doesn't mean you have to paint or you have to draw, like whatever that creativity looks like. But the more we don't allow ourselves to do those things, she said that part of the I suppose it is part. I think it's part of the brain. I don't think it's the spine. So I could be completely wrong with the actual science of it, but I think it's in a part of your brain called the amygdala. So she was saying it actually kind of gets blocked up, and so when you don't leave that flow, when you're not in the flow of your creativity and getting things moving, then it does feel like it almost gets blocked up, and you're blocking like the intuitive connection from kind of coming through you, and so that's why it feels like you get pressure sometimes at the back, and that's where I always get tension, headache type feeling. It sits right at that point. So when she said that, I was just like, oh my god, that makes so much sense, because right at that time when I was speaking to her, I was having a lot of resistance to kind of stepping into allowing myself to do my creative stuff every day. Like, it was always like, oh, I'll get to it soon. I'll get to it when I do this thing. And it just never happened. So I was getting this build up, and I could feel it, why I kept getting these tension type headaches right exactly in that point all the time. And so I just thought that was really interesting what she was saying, because we do get, you know, our body is like a receiver here, I guess, in reality here for that infinite feeling to flow through you. So like, we are going to get physical things that show up. You know, maybe it is your stomach feels a bit off. I get that sometimes too, when there's a lot shifting around. I just feel like my stomach is churning. Like it's just this, my physical body is just releasing the stuff that's not serving me anymore. Like it's an old awareness now, and it's being called into something different. So it is your body's just purging it out, sort of thing. But you could make that mean something, but it's not that at all. It's just releasing it and your body adjusting to it, I feel, anyway. So
no, I agree. Like sometimes you'll get muscle twitches, and I was like, oh, I must have been holding the belief in that or something. It's like you get this sort of quiver type thing, or occasionally I'll get like heart palpitations. Like if it's a really big shift, it's like I feel like it skips a couple of beats or goes really fast or something all of a sudden. I was like, oh, like most people might be freaked out by the, oh my God, I'm having like a heart attack. And I was like, oh no, it's cool. Like it's actually, there's like a real adjustment, vibrational adjustment going on or something right now. It's really weird. And it's always associated with a really quite a big shift. I noticed that, that I'll get that. An amazing feedback system, really, your body, when you really dive into it, like what it's showing you, all the different things. It's actually pretty cool.
When we pay attention to it and actually give ourselves some presence to actually feel what goes on in our body, then it will always show you the right way to go with something, or how you're actually truly feeling about something. Like it's sort of, you know, we can convince ourselves sometimes with our mind that we think something else, but our body will always tell us the truth. Because it is like a divine receiving instrument of the infinite feeling, if you like. So it's here for us to navigate with in life. It's a vehicle for us to navigate reality. So it is like an internal GPS.
Sometimes when we sort of label it, or we then go looking for a pill or to go to the doctor, or holy shit, I need to get my heart checked because I'm having heart palpitations. Like or something's wrong with my leg. Maybe I've got like magnesium, like I need to go and take more magnesium, sort of thing, because I'm having like cramps, or my muscle quivering or something, like, and it's like, oh, you just sort of stop for 5 minutes and actually really feel into what it's actually showing you without going and doing something else or labeling it in the first place. It's like it'll probably just dissipate, because it's
it might do.
You don't have physical things at times where you do need to go and see a doctor. But
there might be something that will support you in that expansion as well. Like oftentimes, I guess, when we are going through a big expansion period, you know, we do benefit from taking B vitamins or something like that, you know, something that kind of supports our physical system, because we are here in a physical body. So we do need to do things to support, you know, so we feel optimal, you know, in our energy as well. So there is that goes with it too.
The nervous system, you know, like that's the nervous system. Like I don't think I really appreciated how much work that does in the transformational space type thing in consciousness. It's constantly trying to upgrade and take on new, you know, ways of being type thing. And it's like, that's why you do feel that fight or flight constantly sort of thing. It's your nervous system that's on all the time. So I think you can never get a break. And it's almost like, no wonder you feel so drained, because it's trying to constantly catch up with all the shifts and changes, like particularly as you grow in consciousness, it seems to go a lot faster. There's lots of big shifts happening all the time, particularly if you're saying yes all the time to things, and there's like shift after shift after shift. I was like, holy crap, I don't know if I can keep up with this. But it's like your nervous system has to keep upgrading all the time, and so it feels like it's on all the time, and it's vibrating at this like rate all the time, and it's like it's like stuff that you can do to support that definitely becomes important, like getting good night's sleep and eating well and resting. Get proper rest when you feel like you need it, like lying down when you really feel that you need to. Sometimes I just do it because my nervous system feels so hyped up or on edge or something. It's like I just need to stop for a bit. And that feeling, like we've talked about before, of like just stopping, like just no movement for just a fraction of the time. to stop everything and then
Yes.
come back into it again.
Mm.
But I guess that's that whole embodiment process where on every level, because it is interesting to sort of say yes, it's on that intellectual level, perhaps to start off with, you're feeling it a little bit in your heart space and you step into it, and then the process needs to start at that point. That's just the starting point of the embodiment process. And that's got to happen on every level. You know, we are infinite beings in terms of we have a physical body, but then we have every other level. We've got our spiritual level and our energetic level and all those different things. People all know about those better than I do, but we exist on every plane. So every plane has to change, like at that point. So,
I think we're being, the bigger picture perspective, I suppose, is that we are being called to expand our inner space so that we have the capacity for more energy to come through us. So we're expanding our vehicle, if you like, of how much awareness and expansion we can actually hold. And if we haven't been at that level before, then there's some growth involved in getting to that place too. So I heard something really cool just yesterday, the day before, our friend 𝐷𝗫𝐻, who we've spoken about before from Be Free events, he was talking about this idea of that, we're definitely already, as the infinite, we already are expanded. Like, it's our awareness of that expansion that is shifting. So that's why it feels like, I'm expanding more and more. It's like, no, you're already expanded. It's just your awareness of that expansion that is shifting. So you can see more of it, you can feel more of it. And so he was talking about his mum, who Nat has referenced before, his mum Lily, who is definitely here in this lifetime as knowing 100% she's an infinite being and acts and lives that way 100%. And he was saying about how this is at the time when he used to run a personal development seminar company, and he used to host John Demartini out in Australia. And that's how we used to work for Amir, and that's how we got to know John and do a lot of his work. And he was saying that his mum used to always like to come to the events and meet the speakers. And he used to get really embarrassed. He's like, Mum, it's like my company, and like, you can't do that. And so she would come and she'd go up to at the end, she'd go up to like John. She's like, I've just got something I've got to tell John, and me's like, no, Mum, like, come on. Like, and so she said that, for people that don't know necessarily John Demartini, a lot of the time when he does like a keynote speech, he tells particular stories that are very, very life-changing for him, and he can get quite emotional at the time when he's telling the story, and he's sort of inspirational tears, if you like it's a really touching moment for him. And so she went up to him apparently at the end and she said, why are you crying? And he sort of said, well, because it was so, like, I was so in that moment and like reliving that story and the inspiration that come from it. And she said, no, like, there's another level again to that. Like, you don't cry when you're fully embodied the expansion. There is no tears. Like, it's like your capacity for that expansion, you're holding it back still. Like, so she was saying, like, when you're still experiencing tears of inspiration, there's still another level of expansion to get to. Like, your capacity, you don't have enough capacity yet to hold the energy that's coming through you, so it comes out of your body as tears. So I thought that was really kind of cool, because it was like, so she was saying it from this perspective that we're always our awareness is constantly expanding of our expanded state. We're already expanded. It's just our awareness shifting. So when we can get to that space of being so big, if you like, for it's not big, in terms of space, but our capacity to hold that power that flows through us, like, we all feel that probably if we look at like a sunset, something that really triggers that, oh my God, that I am that, like that I am God sort of feeling that we've probably all had in instances. It's having that capacity to hold that much power coming through you. And so that's what she was saying. No, there's another state again. You don't cry when you get to that space of being able to hold that capacity. So I thought, that's really cool, actually. Like, that's when your awareness is so large that you can hold it, basically. Your body has adjusted to hold that much energy flowing through you. So I thought that was kind of really
I love that.
An interesting space to go, wow, there's like a new, not like there's a thing you've got to achieve, but it kind of feels like, wow, there's, you know, there's more expansion than possible. Yeah.
It's, I guess, like coming up with, you know, a project or an idea or something like that. You know, if you're feeling that excitement come up, sort of thing, like that's the physical body reaction. It's like, oh my God, it's gonna be so exciting, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I know I've had this feeling about our projects and stuff like that. And it's almost like the same sort of thing. It's like, no, there's another level again. Like, it's, if your body is still experiencing excitement about something like that,
yes,
there's more to it, sort of thing. Like, it basically should have no reaction whatsoever. Like when you come up with your thing, it's almost like it's just completely neutral. And it's just like, okay, let's do this. That's it.
It feels like inevitable is the word that's coming to mind. It's just like,
it
just feels like, yep, it's going to happen. Like, like we've spoken about before, like the decision's already made. You don't actually have to do anything from that point, really. Like, it's kind of like the decision is done. So now the story gets to morph to kind of match that decision that's done, the inevitability of that. And then, yes, okay, in the story there's physical things to do. But what I mean is, on an energetic level, it's done. Like, it's the decision's made. The creation's there. It's going to happen.
The time you say yes, that's already happened. Like, it's like the human yes catching up.
So then, I guess in the time structure that, you know, we live here in, you know, in the 3D world, like, so we do have a construct of time. So it looks like it takes, you know, X amount of time for this thing to unfold. But in the infinite space, it's like it's done. Like, at that point of the decision, feeling like it's moving through you, is like it's already done. It's going to happen. It's going to unfold. What that looks like to the human mind, we don't know. We might have a concept of that, but it's just that knowingness that it's something is shifting and we're catching up to that now. That's what it feels like in the physical body, I guess. It's cool.
It's very cool. It is very cool. It's a very different way of looking at stuff.
And I think it is how you frame it. That's exactly right too, because it's like, you can either think change is exciting, or we can think change is really scary. Like, so it's kind of, you know, which is scariness is coming from the ego, and even like a really excited thing is still coming from ego as well.
Coming from ego, that's what I mean. Like, if you're actually really excited about a project, then it's probably actually still ego, and you haven't got to that stage of fully embodying it yet. Because there should be, it should just be a neutral thing, as like, I'm putting this out to the world. That's it. Like, no justification, no excitement, no announcement, no nothing.
It
just is such a knowing at that point that that's what's pouring through you, and it's already done.
It feels expansive. It feels light. It feels the energy is very different.
Sense of joy that comes up from it, definitely. I'm saying joy is quite different to excitement.
That's true, actually. That's probably the better word.
Feeling of joy and complete fulfillment. Like, it's almost like you feel whole again, like completedness. And I'm feeling that about our projects sort of thing. It's like, feels like it's come back full circle to have this sense of completeness to it. And we're still navigating what our message is and who's for and all that sort of stuff. But even just talking about this stuff, like just being on this topic in the first place, sort of has this feeling of wholeness to it. And it's almost like it fixes in the storyline everything else. So suddenly your relationship gets better, and your finances get better, and your health is better. Like, you're making more healthier choices about what you're going to eat and stuff. Like, I know I'm doing that now. And it's not effortful. It just feels like the thing to be doing right now. So it's sort of like all the other stuff that we're trying to fix in the outside world actually does get fixed.
Well, it feels like you're coming into alignment, doesn't it? Like, it's like that wholeness feeling. It's like you're totally aligned and congruent with who you truly are. And so the other bits, as you said in your story, they start to align as well, because it's matching what's coming from the inside. Like, that's all it is. We can't change that outside that we've spoken about before. It's like, it's got to come from the inside space. So as soon as we shift that space and we line up, then it starts to look like the story is morphing to match that alignment and congruency now.
It's very cool.
Very cool.
All right. So there you go. Just say yes. Just say yes, see what happens.
Yes. And I think even from the perspective of, you know, everything we talk about here at the Infinite Me is like this, you know, what we're taking a stand for with the revolution that we're going to be launching, you know, in October or whatever that's going to look like now. I'm not sure. Nat might have some new things to tell me
I've
tonight.
got some new ideas, so I might be able to change it around.
So who knows what's happening? But the concept behind it is still the same. It's like are we going to, or am I, you know, like saying if it's just me here, it going to say I'm jumping all in to this. It's a total yes to whatever that journey looks like.
It's a yes for me.
So, yeah.
That's 4 yeses.
So I guess it's more that question is like, are you a yes to your own life? Like, are you committed 100%? And I don't like the word commitment either, but it's kind of like just that energy of you got to do what it takes, if you like you're tired of the distractions and the ego stuff that kind of goes on, and you want to use your ego to help you now rather than to supposedly hold you back, sort of thing. Like you're going to use it to see now where you're still got your power hidden, and are you a yes to going on that journey and whatever that's going to show up for you. And that's everything we're talking about here, is because like, yep, we're doing that, like, and let's see what happens kind of thing. And it's not even a waiting for the outcome. It's just I'm choosing to live this way now, like, and I'm catching up to that yes that I'm feeling as a true feeling coming through me now. So let us know if you're yes.
I just got a bit of an insight actually when you said that doing what it takes, like that pushes my buttons big time doing that. But I come from like a marketing, internet marketing sort of space, entrepreneurial space, and it's sort of, I guess I've always caught it up in the human sense sort of thing. You know, I'll do this and I'll do that, and I'm going to set goals and I'm going to do all this stuff. And it's just like,
I'm not going to take no for an answer.
Yeah, I just don't get all that. Like that doesn't feel true for me anymore, like it used to.
No.
It doesn't feel true for me anymore. But what I just got from what you said was doing what it takes actually is saying yes, and then allowing the old belief patterns to come up and see them and release them. Like it's doing whatever it takes to release those old limitations, actually stopping you from that next level of playing the game. Like your natural propensity as an infinite being is to keep expanding, is to keep moving forward, to having greater experiences of your infiniteness with less limitation. So saying yes to anything that feels like that, feels more expansive, feels like a little bit scary at times, a little bit on the edge, out of your comfort zone, saying yes to those things, and then doing whatever it takes in terms of releasing whatever it takes to then put you don't have to do it yourself, but it automatically puts you, by releasing those things, puts you in the next level.
And it does feel like it's a shift from the intellectual concept, I guess, we've built around that, doing what it takes. Like you said, that's why it's so hard sometimes when you're having these conversations, because there's so many connotations that come with statements like that. But if we were to strip them just back to what that actually means, like the actual literal meaning of it, rather than all the story and the stuff we've built around it over the years, it is this literally saying, I'm going to do whatever that takes to bring myself into presence, to see those feelings that are coming up within me, to release those limitations, and they exist. That's what I mean by when I say, you're going to do what it takes to experience yourself on a more infinite level than what your awareness you have, the awareness you have now of your expansion.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I think that's made a big shift for me, because that's something
that's cool.
I've really wrestled with for a long time, actually.
I think it is just that shift,
the old concept of that, like which doesn't feel true for me, but then it also feels true on another level to actually do that, do what it takes. So it's sort of like, how does that work?
I think that's why we've got to question all these things, isn't it? It's just like, because we just say things and we don't realize all the overlay and the connotations and the energy that's tied up in concepts sometimes, and we have to kind of really sit back sometimes and strip it back to actually the literal meaning of that thing without all the overlay, and reframe it for yourself so that you know what that means for you, because it's easy then for someone else to say it and they have a different meaning altogether to that. So as long as you know what that means for you, that's all that matters at the end of the day. So Yeah. You can say that to yourself, I'm going to do what it takes, and someone else will have this meaning of like, yeah, like a Tony Robbins, like, yeah, we're just going to motivational type thing. We're going to do it, push through it. And it's not about that. Definitely not about that at the end of the day. So.
Oh, there you go. Another little insight. That's amazing. Actually, that was a big insight. Thank you. That's good.
That's cool. Thanks, Infinite Being.
Yeah. Thanks, Infinite Self.
Yes. Cool. Well, let us know in the comments anything that's come up for you, or has this helped you to step more into a yes that's coming up in your life right now? I'd love to hear. Let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
All right.
See you tomorrow for another conversation. Who knows what's going to be? We'll see after that. Our conversation that I have tonight might be completely different.
I'm going to take Mandy now and pull her over the coals. So we might come up with a totally different topic by tomorrow. We may not even be the infinite me anymore. Who knows?
Okay.
All right. In the meantime, say yes.